What's poppin' people, SSJAipom here with another Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 tip video, and today we're going to be checking out a playstyle analysis. Now we're not going to analyze anyone else's playstyles, but one of my own. Actually, we're going to analyze 3 of them over the course of 3 videos. I'm going to talk about how you can add them to your own playstyle, or the effectiveness or ineffectiveness of them themselves, because why not? Now, these playstyles that I do talk about in these analytical videos are going to be about ways that I fight, ways that I've seen other people fight, and how I've adapted those playstyles to myself, or how I've seen the flaws in other people's playstyles. So in general, they're not really about how to win. They're just they're just basically some things to note. So if you do see someone playing with these qualities, you know exactly how to beat them or how to adapt those qualities to yourself to bring your game to the very next level. Now, before I even get started, I should say the first playstyle video that we're going to check out is the hyper offensive / rush down playstyle. So if you want to see really good high level gameplay, people who use the oh my god, what just happened there? If people using the hyper offensive playstyle, check out Decidious stuff if you have not. I don't know how you didn't if you're playing Xenoverse 2 and E27. Both of these guys are pretty much at the highest tier of the gameplay that you can possibly be, and their hyper offense is really good. But we're gonna get right into it with video number 1 of 3. So hyper offense is basically a super aggressive playstyle where the user repeatedly kind of rushes in with offense. Now, to keep your mobility up, you gotta master ki blast cancels. And hyper offense is extremely effective when your opponent has really bad stamina management, as most of the offense from you coming in before a stamina break is gonna be pretty much light attack strings or pokes from your light attacks without going into full combos, followed by a ki blast to kind of cancel your animation and to bait out panic vanishes. And that ki blast is going to help you move around with steps and step manual vanishes. So when you get faster at doing this, and you can scare your opponent a lot, you'll see much higher success in your fighting, especially if you're going to play super hyper aggressive, you know. And what else can I say? Hyper offensive playstyles are the most dangerous when you fully commit to finishing the fight as quickly as possible. Now I have a clip that is from a previous video that I did, but it showcases the hyper aggressive playstyle perfectly. Like, you see me use it to perfection on someone who was pretty much beating the crap out of us, like me and Deadpool, for a while in the endless battle room. But when you commit to finishing that fight as quickly as possible, you're gonna see a big difference in how well your opponent can keep their defenses up, or how well they can adapt to you. Because if they can't, they're gonna get swamped really fast. This of course is gonna mean that you're spending a majority of the fight dashing around or snap vanishing out of strings early, just to keep that momentum on your side and scare your opponent into picking up their pace when they don't have to. Actually, they don't have to keep on snapping out of your combos, because you're not trying to do full combos until they are really low. And you pretty much open up all of your offense with a dashing light attack into a heavy string on certain characters like Goku, or yeah, you pretty much open up all your attacks with the dashing light attack, or a step manual vanish into a dashing light attack, or a step manual vanish into a light attack, excuse me. And that pretty much is going to be the poke that you need to kind of scare your opponent into panic vanishing. Now, if they don't, then keep on chipping away, but do not overcommit. Don't ever do a full combo unless you know you got that stamina breakdown, or you got the combo optimized for yourself, you know. So you pretty much when you get that stamina break, though, it'll pretty much be the end of the match or the tide turner, depending on how optimized you made your combos post stamina break. So if you got the combo optimized for speed, you can do the combo a bunch of times and loop it. Or if you got it optimized for power, you can do a bunch of combos while the opponent is stamina broken that do a shit ton of damage, and then go for that ultimate to kind of finish the fight off, as you can see with Goku Black a little bit later in the clip if it's not playing already. And this playstyle is really effective when it comes to mind games as well, because when your opponent sees your stamina has dropped pretty low because of how you're playing, how you're rushing in and going crazy, they'll want to pick up the pace themselves and attack you back. But that is when you kind of outplay them in terms of mobility with your ki blast cancels, and you don't backswing too much. You backswing if it's gonna land, but if your opponent steps out of it once, take that as a mental note and just ki blast cancel and get away from them, and then come back in with some offense from the same angles you were doing before, you know. So it's all about being committed to doing this hyper offense. If you go hyper offense, you will not see a good thing coming when you slow down at all. So you gotta commit to being on your opponent. You gotta be an annoying ass fly that just does a lot of damage, and be ready to take the consequences if you do get hit. Now, since I picked up this playstyle, I did notice a few key weaknesses, and fighting people who do use this playstyle, I can exploit these weaknesses. So I'm gonna teach you how to exploit someone playing hyper offense to the best of my knowledge, or at least a couple of tips that I've picked up that give me some success in battle. So One weakness, of course, is while they're fully committed to hyper offense, they'll burn through their stamina a lot. So that's a good thing on their part because they're gonna keep on being on you. But it's a bad thing if you finally do land an attack on them, because their goal is gonna be to deal as much damage to you as possible, and to keep you from analyzing them and getting their playstyle down. So they're pretty much unpredictable in terms of what the hell they're gonna do. They're just trying to hurt you and get you down to that stamina break so they can finally finish you off in like dazzling fashion in 9 times out of 10, you know. Another weakness of these guys is trading hits. Being hit at all will kind of throw them off when they're playing hyper offense because their stamina is now gone and they're trying to panic vanish just to keep the pressure on you. So if you can time your back attacks right, if you got your opponent down and they're just snap vanishing out at every single hit, like the first time they get hit, then it's going to be really easy to kind of swamp a person playing hyper offense and beat them into the ground like it's nothing. They want that damage so bad that they're willing to pretty much blow all their resources on it. So you pretty much make sure that any offensive action you take on someone playing hyper offense after you've made them snap vanish, you make that count, man. You got to make that attack really be the one that does the damage. Another weakness is blocking enemies. Now, a hyper offensive person cannot attack you too many times when you're blocking. They can actually do 1 through 4 attacks in their light string into a heavy attack or 2. After that, they're pretty much stuck in a frame disadvantage. Now, a blocking enemy pretty much is going to cause them to be in a frame disadvantage, but they're kind of just standing there looking stupid sometimes, unless they can press X to snap vanish behind you. And I recommend that if you are going to play hyper offense and your opponent is blocking, just do more than 1 attack in your light string. Like commit to doing 2 attacks every time you go in for the dash attack, and then just press X if your opponent is blocking. And they'll kind of do like a cross up or a mix up or something, and they'll try to back up and move or try to backswing at you, so you get a chance to like perfect block or some shit, you know. So you have a lot of options when you do that. You can also cancel out your own combo with a super attack, like say Shockwave, for example, where you can pretty much get a free stamina break if your opponent is blocking. So on a character like Goku Black, when you're fighting someone blocking, that Shockwave is going to be like the big stop, focus on me, you are going to die, there's nothing you can do about this. And I absolutely love that about Goku Black, or characters like Vegeta who might have Shockwave on a variant, or regular Goku, or if you have Shockwave on a custom created character, man, by all means use that shit. It is a great move, by the way. And you can also pretty much go for a light attack or 2 and then charge up a triangle attack, and then as your opponent reacts or they're about to drop their guard, you just tap X mid charge up and you'll teleport behind them. So now they're going to be panicking like, what the hell, what just happened? And you can get them to panic vanish. So you've got a bunch of ways to attack a blocking opponent, but if you are not focused, you will be taken advantage of. Now, never, ever, ever in your life try to key blast cancel against someone who is blocking, because a blocked key blast cancel is not a cancel at all. You are at a super frame disadvantage, and you will be hit by something that may as well be the end of the match, because you're going to be panicking, or you won't have any stamina to avoid their comeback, and you will be punished, and you'll probably die. Now, consider switching from this playstyle if you've been perfect blocked like more than 2 times as you try to enter in towards your opponent, because your opponent either has really fucking good timing and they're going to be able to do that to you at the most inopportune moments and pretty much fuck you over later on in the match, or they're getting really lucky in lag and latency, and you're kind of getting rubber banded back into any block they do when they're just mashing block being a perfect block. So you kind of want to be sure that you know what's going on with that. If you see more than, I would say more than 1 perfect block actually, if you see more than that, just be like, no, I can't keep on hyper offense. I'm like, I gotta switch up a little bit. Cast characters you want to consider for using this playstyle, I would definitely say the top tier characters can abuse the hyper offense the greatest. You'll see a bunch of really strong Goku Blacks around YouTube. You can see a bunch of coolers, a bunch of hits that play hyper offense. Turles is a really good character for hyper offense as well, and Vegito is good. And of course, you can actually try out Vegeta now, especially the variants where he has Meteor Blow or Meteor Strike, because they are really good online apparently. And the dash cancels you can do after Meteor Blow and Meteor Strike are not ones to look over, because you have a lot of ways to keep moving. You've probably seen it in the beginning of this video where Vegeta's kind of flying around after Goku, but you have a lot of neat ways to keep your combos going and keep your mobility up. So mobility is key, damage comes second, damage comes after the stamina break. Anything before that, you're just trying to like chip away at your opponent. Like don't consider what you're doing to your opponent the end all be all. You have to get that done. Like if you're going for like a cinematic combo, stop yourself from getting that cinematic and just chip away until your opponent is below that 2 or 3 stamina bars, because you want to optimize your combos to make sure you can get good damage out when they're below that, so they can't snap vanish out of it. And when you do get that stamina break off, you want to be sure that you have the optimized combo to keep that going and do a lot of damage. Now, that is the end of this playstyle. What's poppin', people? SSJAipom here with another Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 tip video, and today we're doing another playstyle reference. This playstyle is a fusion of hyper offense and analytical, and if you don't know what those playstyles entail, I'll be leaving links to them in the description for a much deeper analysis, much like this one. This playstyle is all about putting on unbelievable offensive pressure, but unlike hyper offense, we're not using stamina breaks. Now, in the creating punishes video, I told you guys that there are safe, inescapable ways to get into your super and ultimate attacks without needing stamina breaks on certain cast characters. And we're going to take that knowledge and craft a playstyle built all around beating your opponent down and hitting them hard when they slip up. Your main goal with this playstyle is to get your opponent below 2 bars of stamina and keep them that low. This is because if you have to stamina break them, as in there are no other options, you get the maximum time needed to get your punish off. And if you don't stamina break them, you can still punish them with your unavoidable combos into your ultimates or those strong super attacks. Realistically, you'll want to play as close to the ground as possible. This is because safe transitions into these punishes usually require heavy knockdowns. If you don't know, a heavy knockdown keeps your opponent on the floor with the hit counter up for a while, letting you extend your combo some more. And as long as you don't get too close to the target while they're laid out, they won't be able to recover. So if your opponent is laid out and you can still extend your combos or something, you can probably go right into a fast enough ultimate. You probably get the drift. Remember, the first thing that I told you guys is to never fully commit to any combo strings unless you've optimized them or you know a cancel out of them if the combo isn't safe. The second you slip up and your opponent will be able to hit you, you've pretty much dumped the momentum you've been building. And we want to keep our momentum as high as we can when we're on offense and frustrate the enemy by keeping theirs low when we're on defense. That's why we kind of fuse hyper offense and analytical. The pressure playstyle is ideal in situations where, say, a certain punish you've crafted won't work, or the character you're fighting has upwards of 8 bars of stamina and you really don't want to go through the hassle of letting them get it all back after a stamina break if you know you can't kill. So if you're fighting someone like Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Goku, and it was a fucking chore to get him to below 2 bars of stamina, you don't want to stamina break him because he'll get like the 10 or 15, whatever, how many blue bars this guy has, he'll get them all back after the stamina break if you know you can't kill him, like he's too high up in health and you know your damage output isn't good enough. So you want to keep them below the 2 bars so you can get those ultimate attacks or the super attacks off. So they're still kind of in that deficit and you can kind of get your punishes off cleanly, you know? So you have a lot of little options. It's a very easy concept to get down, and when you start doing it, you'll feel a lot calmer in matches as well. So you won't feel as frustrated or as spam happy or panicking when they get behind you with a snap vanish. Of course, no playstyle is perfect, and the pressure playstyle shares the weaknesses of both analytical and hyper offense. So you'll have to be cautious and keep control of those combo strings, or you'll lose all your momentum when your opponent gets behind you, or you whiff something, or you go for the wrong string and it drops and your opponent gets out of the way. And you'll get it down though, guys. Check out the hyper offense playstyle and the analytical playstyle for more tips or things to take with you. Just know when you're on offense, you're thinking hyper offense, and when you're on defense, you're thinking analytical. That way you don't mix yourself up and waste all your stamina, because hyper offense can get you into a zone where it's kind of hard to get out of. And I understand it's a bit much to keep track on, for sure. What is up, YouTube? SSJAipom here with another Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 analysis video. We're checking out the playstyle that I have dubbed analytical. Now, this playstyle is, of course, not a playstyle that I have 100% developed myself. In fact, you probably see other people play using this playstyle, but this playstyle is one that Deadpool and I have formulated when we were trying to pretty much pick up perfect blocking and mastering those and getting the timing for those down. I did see some requests to do some perfect blocking stuff a little bit later down the line, and I will probably get around to that either today or tomorrow, actually, if I do get the time for it. But this playstyle is pretty much, you can see it all over the place by accident being used. So it's pretty much just gauging your opponent's their effectiveness or ineffectiveness at using their stamina and whatnot, and going in and punishing when they least expect it. Now, if you've seen any of the recent Worlds Collide videos that I did with Sage Arts, any game that I was playing as Hit, I pretty much use an analytical playstyle to kind of formulate ways to get my time skip Molotov off. So it's a pretty effective way to get your opponent to kind of fall into your trap and punish him for it. So the analytical playstyle, I'm reading off a script now, so if I do sound a little bit robotic, excuse me, because scripts are fucking hard to do. Anyway, so the analytical playstyle is a cautious playstyle that usually revolves around drifting around the map or landing on the ground. And step manual vanishes are pretty much only ever used to dodge or mix up people who are close range to you. And this fighting style usually relies on knockback combos or light attack strings to kind of chip away at your opponent's health, while baiting them to panic vanish and keeping them at a stamina disadvantage when they get below you. Now, the goal, or the end goal, is to avoid using a stamina break until the opponent falls into a kill range, if you even need to use one. So this is so that you can pretty much always have that stamina advantage as early on in the fight as possible. and keep them below or around that 2 bar, because they keep on panic vanishing every time they feel like they got an opening to get out of there. So if you didn't notice, when you do stamina break someone, after their stamina does recover and you did not get the kill off, they get all their stamina back. So you have to pretty much redo the whole cycle again to get them back down. This playstyle pretty much tries to keep your opponent at that, hey, you're pretty much in a bad position right now. I'm punishing you without like punishing you, you know? So getting off a time skip in a stamina break is good, but getting off a time skip and then having your opponent still below 2 bars is better, because now they're scared. They just took a time skip to the chest, like, what the fuck? I don't want to take another one. So that is a really good way to keep the advantage on your side, while at the same time downloading every single piece of information you need from your opponent for future battles. Now, you pretty much are going to use combos optimized for either speed or damage to chip off chunks of health with each exchange without needing to stamina break. And this playstyle is the most dangerous when you found the holes in your opponent's playstyle. So you're pretty much playing it safe and kind of drifting back or knocking your opponent away to take a mental note like, okay, he came in with a rush attack that time. A perfect block knocked him back. He didn't waste his stamina on that perfect block. Or he didn't try to perfect block back. So you know that little bit of information. Each time you get some information, you keep it there like, okay, he's going to do this. He's not going to do this. So you always have that sort of like step above your opponent's play in general, you know? And this playstyle is the most dangerous when you've got the holes in their playstyle, as I said earlier. And you become able to predict when they're gonna backswing, or when you should backswing, or when you should use a counter attack. And I wouldn't recommend backswinging if your opponent kind of steps out of it, or they step out of the range of one after snap vanishing, because that pretty much lets you know that, okay, they might have a little bit of latency on their side to help them like get out the way. So you don't want to put yourself in a disadvantage if you get hit in the back of the head and then you have to waste your own stamina or catch or punish yourself, you know. So just key blast cancel and step out of the way and let your opponent do what they're going to do with their snap vanish and their wasted stamina at that point. And you can become so much more effective, guys, if you kind of just kite the enemy to attack you, not by running, but instead like drifting backward or something, and then just landing on the floor. You can just land on the floor. Like this is because you get stamina back at a pretty much default rate when you're on the floor. Like when you're flying, your stamina comes back up lower. And if your opponent is just step manual vanishing around like across the damn map from you, not doing anything to you, like you're not even near them, they're pausing their stamina recovery. So you kind of just sit there. Like you shouldn't even want to step manual vanish unless you're going in for the offense or you're doing a counter movement or you're kind of trying to cross up or move around your opponent. Instead, use a regular step and your stamina will be coming back up as intended, or you can just stand on the floor and your opponent kind of has to wait. Because I've seen a lot of comments actually in the stamina break videos or the combo references where people were like, I don't play on the floor. But why don't you? The floor is where the game pretty much behaves as it's supposed to, and all the combos are kind of doing what they're gonna do, you know? So you gain access to so many more tools and options on the ground. So this playstyle is the best of most worlds if you're gonna pick up a random character like, say, Birder or Android 18. Like, you can do a bunch of neat stuff on the ground and you still get your stamina back up and all that. So there are some benefits to actually learning to chill out on the floor for a little bit. Like, slow it down, take a breath, get your stamina back, and have your opponent look dumb. Like, and the weaknesses of this analytical playstyle, of course, are mix-ups. So when you're trying to analyze your opponent and they keep shifting up how they approach you, it's only a matter of time before you expect one thing and then another comes at you and catches you off guard. Like, say they did 1 or 2 heavy attacks into a stamina break. They're gonna shorten that or extend that to one heavy attack into a stamina break, or 4 heavy attacks into a stamina break. You're like, what the fuck? And it might catch you off guard. So being too like focused on one behavior or one particular action is going to get you caught up in the long run. So be careful when you're trying to analyze your opponent's playstyle, and always be like ready to change up how you approach a situation or how you're going to like follow up or get out of there. You always got to be ready for anything. Another weakness of this playstyle is, of course, latency. So the laggier the connection, the harder it is to time your punishes and your counters and your perfect blocks and whatnot. Now, I tried a perfect block online, but the fucking game just decides, hey, if you're not the one, if you're the one blocking, you're not getting a perfect block. But if someone else blocks literally 3 seconds after you punch them in the face, we're gonna rubber band you back into getting perfect block. So I got annoyed with it and I just said fuck it all together. So hey man, if you can just master dodging and sidestepping without having to waste stamina or risk the perfect block or whatever the fuck, go for the sidestep, man. It is a better thing off in the long run. Now you want to keep lag and latency in mind when you go for a longer combo or gimmicky combo extensions, you know. And another weakness of the analytical playstyle is the snap vanish cross up. Now the easiest way to catch an analytical player off guard is to cross them up as they try to like retreat or backstep with a backward step manual vanish or something, and then you kind of just do the same thing. Like you shift towards them though, so you appear behind them. If you had it happen to you on accident, you know what I'm talking about, but I can't really explain it without a visual reference, and for the life of me, I can't find a video where it does happen, so sorry about that. But it's hard to put into words, but if you do see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. And cross-ups like this are like effective because the analyst won't be able to adjust in time to hit you, or if they did try to hit you, they'll whiff their planned attack, giving you pretty much a perfect chance to either hit them in the back and hope for a panic vanish, or key blast, cancel and step away, or block anticipating a backswing if they do try to do that. This playstyle is decent to start most of your matches off with, and I have a confession to make. When I'm playing against someone for the first time, I do not play to win, I play to analyze, so every other game after that, I can keep on finding more and more holes in your playstyle. Because while they come at me at their full like potential, or they're going off, they're trying to show off all these cool crazy combos, I'm using a character like Android 17, kind of just like, okay, hit me. Like, because I'm gonna hit you with like a very basic dulled down version of how I play. So you think I'm hitting you with everything I got, but then it's like, okay, now to mix you up with this, while you showed me all your tricks. So that is my dirtiest trick with the analyst playstyle. And you can consider switching out of this playstyle when you've got enough information on how your opponent manages their stamina and how good the mobility is, and like which ways you can make an attack on them that seem to work out the best after you've like downloaded everything you need to know. Then you can switch back to this playstyle when your stamina is low, or you need a breather after knocking your opponent away after an exchange. So say you were doing a bunch of fighting, you got kind of carried away and wasted more stamina than you wanted to by the end of the exchange, just kind of knock them away, land on the floor and reset and just breathe, or just drift away to start like flying backwards a little bit, like, okay, calm down now, you kind of wildin', baby, you kind of wildin', and you should be all right, man. And this is a really good way to keep your stamina up at all times, and always have that advantage. But that's gonna be it for the analytical playstyle. What is up, YouTube? SSJAipom here with another Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 analytical video, and we're checking out another playstyle. Now, this playstyle was featured in the final stream that I did, or the last stream I did for the weekend. A lot of people were kind of irritated by it, and it was also featured or showcased in one of Rhymestyle videos, the Canton City Gauntlet. I believe it was the perfect stamina management video, and this playstyle is particularly tricky. Now, a lot of people couldn't find a way around it, and in a situation like Rhymestyle's Gauntlet, where you only have one chance to fight the person, and you're pretty much eliminated, this thing will probably come out on top, because it is one of the trickiest playstyles to get used to, because no one outside this one particular player has adopted it. Now, we did see someone else adopt it in the stream, and it did get a victory over the guy, I will say that, but it is not impressive to watch in streams or like live settings. So unfortunately, unfortunately, man, this playstyle is pretty much a I would use it as an in-between playstyle, or because a lot of the situations where you've seen it used in the stream, it was not like necessary to use it. Like, you did not have to do this, but hey, whatever the hell. We're going to check out the bait/counterattack playstyle. Now, this playstyle's effectiveness all relies on how patient you are. It isn't particularly a fun playstyle to watch in a live setting like a stream, but it's very, very effective when performed correctly. Your main goal is to stay in the air from the start of the fight, pretty much. That cuts your opponent's stamina recovery down. That's number one. And you drift around until your opponent rushes at you, or you even rush at them with feints and then attack when your opponent pretty much misses their attack. So This is all done by step manual vanishing, or stepping towards your opponent and then quickly stepping backwards, only to use a light attack to kind of shoot back forward again and hit your opponent when they're in a recovery state. So this is a really, you have to master the timing on this, or you have to abuse the iframes of the step manual vanish in online play. But this thing is disgusting when it works, and it works a majority of the time because people will not be ready for someone to like jump in and not attack, only to jump back and then jump back in and attack them. Like, it's disgusting. And you pretty much, if they attempt to swing at you, they end up missing their attack like 9 times out of 10. And you can either start a combo string or fish for a panic vanish. You never want to finish your combos. And with a character like Goku, you're actually going to go for combos that kind of launch your opponent away, and you teleport over to them for like the sledgehammer or whatever in the combo, but then you guard cancel to make your opponent kind of waste their stamina, and you're standing still that whole time. Like, you're fishing for your opponent to waste their stamina, or they're just going to sit there and look stupid. Or you can extend your combo. So this is very good for mix-ups as well. But 9 times out of 10, you will not be the aggressor in situations. You're actually going to be the counter-attacker, as why this playstyle is called counter-attacking. And the best types of cancels for this playstyle are actually guard cancels, or any key blast cancels to keep your mobility up. So if you add key blast cancels to this playstyle, I don't think the guy that was using it actually does. I don't think Tunnel Vision does. But if you do add in key blast cancels, you become a bit faster, and it's kind of sickening to watch actually in action. And it's very important that you do not go for a stamina break or a full string while your opponent has over 2 bars of stamina, unless you set it up as a mix-up. So going for the same random stamina break and like 1 or 2 after 1 or 2 heavy attacks will pretty much get you punished. And this playstyle, however, has a few key instances where it falls apart, and I didn't beat it just yet. And you guys know me, I'm like the Goku of Xenoverse. If I see someone strong or I see something great and it has a way to beat it, like it's not a meme, like it's not a stupid, like it's not some go-go gum bullshit where you don't have to deal with it if you don't want to. Like, just don't play ranked, like fuck it. But if it's a playstyle that's legit and it can be beaten, which everyone can be beaten, I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna try to find holes in it. So I didn't beat it yet, but I found a couple of holes in the playstyle that I've added to my game. And each fight I've had with the guy, I'm getting closer and closer to beating him. So maybe the next one we have, I probably will be able to smash him into the ground for the one time for my people in the stream. But yeah, so one of the key weaknesses that I've seen so far is when they go for a stamina break while you can snap vanish out of it. Now, if you did not know, a stamina break missing is pretty much an opportunity for you to land your own stamina break. So if they try to do a stamina break combo and you have enough stamina to get out of the way, you can go for a stamina break right there. Like, don't go for any punches or anything because they can just snap vanish out of it. But if you go for a stamina break right then when you appear behind them, you will get the stamina break. So that was one of the ways I can get behind this guy and get some damage off, because this playstyle is really annoying in the way that it kind of keeps you flying in at him and taking damage without being able to land anything. So if you mess up that stamina break when using this playstyle, you're pretty much going to be forced to panic vanish if you do get lucky and don't get stamina break back, or you're gonna have to deal with that stamina break. And another situation where it falls apart is when your movement gets crossed up with your opponent. So if your opponent's kind of hopping around and dashing around and snap vanishing around you, and you try to back up but they appear behind you, you kind of jam up your controls for a second or two, and that might be all it needs for your opponent to kind of get the advantage and hit you in the back of the head with something and cause you to panic vanish and waste your stamina. Now this playstyle is really good at conserving stamina, pretty much because you're not wasting it on extensions or anything like that. But in situations where he did panic, or he would let himself be wide open for a stamina break of my own, I was able to hit him with a stamina break and punish. Now latency did drop him out of a combo or two, and I think I almost had that fight where I did catch him, but hey, it is what it is, it happens. And the last and final weakness of this playstyle is patience or lack thereof. Getting too eager to go for any damage outside of like an optimized combo or a stamina break combo will pretty much lead to you getting into exchange, which is something you don't want with this playstyle, because you'll either be in a one-sided offense versus a panic vanish, or you'll trade damage between you and your opponent, and you pretty much don't want to keep on getting hit because it's gonna force you to want to panic vanish. Like, you see your character flinch on screen, you want to get him out of there. So that's the thing. Usually after things start going, it's tricky to get back into like relaxing your pace. For most players, I noticed, like if you don't land on the floor like me and Deadpool do, it's really hard to get back into resetting your pace. So this playstyle is best when you have upwards of 4 bars of stamina. If you have less than that, I kind of recommend backing off and getting back up to 4 bars. Welcome back to our game show. You are the first to catch a new SSJAipom video, and we're going to be bringing down our newest winner, my main man Darius. Darius, how you doing?
Hey, what up, man?
Darius, tell us where you're from.
I'm from the mean streets of Canton City, dog.
Canton City, really? Now, how'd you make it out of there?
Man, I don't know. I'm just here. Let me ask you something, man. When the last time you brushed your teeth, dog?
Oh, don't do that.
When the last time you brushed your teeth, dog?
Don't do that. Why are you doing that? Security, get him off the set. Get him off the set. Why you doing that?
Come on, dog. Come on, dog. Come on.
We gonna go back to our sponsors. We're gonna go to our sponsors. What is up, YouTube? SSJAipom here with another Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 video, and I'm bringing another playstyle your way that is pretty fun for me, actually. This playstyle is, of course, number 5 in the playstyle showcase, and much like zoning, is a fusion of multiple pre-existing principles. We'll name this playstyle momentum-based, and I think players of traditional fighting games will appreciate this one the most. In games like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, or even Tekken, it's very common to see momentum shift back and forth between players in competitive play. One player will be doing the offense most time while the other player is kind of being suppressed, or they're kind of guarding in the corner or something. Or that's the general idea. And this playstyle tries to convert that method of thinking into Xenoverse for you, if you wanted to pick it up and play like a fighting game. So, while on offense, you'll be going for safe combos, links, and even super attacks to chip away at your opponent. And when you feel the momentum slipping away from you, an example of which being like, say you had to end the combo with a knockback attack, but you don't want to continue with an extension because you know your opponent can like snap vanish out of the way or something. You block and wait for the next exchange, or you simply just land and reset yourself to neutral. The goal is knowing your optimized combos while minimizing risks, meaning if you can find a combo that links directly into a super or ultimate, without needing a stamina break, you go for that whenever you can. opposed to kind of waiting to finish the fight with a stamina break and that type of thing. When you play with this mindset, pretty much any damage you can get off is good damage, and having mastery over your cancels and resets will let you keep your momentum on your side for a bit longer. The key here, again, is not going for a stamina break at all pretty much while on offense, only as a reaction to incoming stamina break combos that you snap vanish out of. This way there are never huge gains to your opponent's momentum that you can't focus on or keep control of or keep tabs on, so you always kind of know what your opponent's stamina is at and what they're able to do with it. And focus is definitely a requirement since this playstyle benefits the most from analysis. It's almost like the very next level of the analytical playstyle actually, so you never want to overextend yourself with this playstyle. Instead, we'll try to get the opponent to, pardon the name, it'll sound ridiculous, we try to get them to overextend, and we call this playing footsies. If you know anything about fighting games, that's the actual term, I'm not making this up. We're going to try to play footsies in Xenoverse 2. In short, we're going to be using our normal attacks from a good distance to kind of poke towards our opponent or bait them into coming towards us, and then we can punish them for their mistakes. Of course, in Xenoverse, a poke can just be a light or heavy attack while you're in range. And your pokes have different speeds, all of which depend on what character you're using, man. So if you're using a character like Goku or Hit who have pretty fast pokes, you're going to have a much better time doing something like this. But knowing when you're safest in terms of distance from your target is fairly important, as it helps you prepare to face your opponent's offense the best. So I'll give you two instances of controlling momentum. Let's say that you went on offense. Your opponent has less than 2 bars of stamina, and you know that you can go into either an optimized combo that does somewhere near 5,500 damage and knocks your opponent away, or 2 quick heavy strings on your character that can lead to a knockdown, which you can follow up with a super attack, and that combo will do about 7,000 damage. Now, both combos are correct choices as long as you know to drop your momentum as soon as I need to drop my momentum as I'm talking. Both combos are correct choices as long as you know you can drop the momentum as the target gets closer to 2 bars of stamina, meaning to take less and less risks with your combos or extensions, turning your offense back into pokes or dropping it altogether. Alternatively, let's say your opponent is burst dashing around and they're trying to get behind you. You can step back and block the incoming attack. Then they try to grab you, but you drop your guard and sidestep behind them. Then they try to back attack, but you perfect block it. By then, your opponent has lost all of their offensive momentum because they pretty much used all their options up. So assume your perfect block left them below like a full bar of stamina. You can either immediately go into one of your optimized combos again, or go for a grab for a safer option in case they want to perfect block you back. So being able to control momentum with this playstyle is definitely fun, and some things to note are, in fact, blocking pauses your stamina recovery pretty much, if it doesn't slow it down. I can't really remember at the time being, but if you're neutral, be sure to not be blocking if your opponent is out of assisted combat range. And if you don't know what that is, if you've ever thrown a light attack while too far from a target to land it, your character will kind of do a step toward them to assist you in landing the attack. So if your opponent is too far to land in a melee attack that's been doing that, that's been trying to help them or assist them out, you don't need to be blocking. You can just stand there and get your stamina back up. But when they do come into range, you might want to be blocking just in case they want to come in towards you. Be careful though, because if they're in Super Saiyan state and they charge up a heavy attack, they will warp in and punch you in the side of your neck and break your guard while you're blocking. So don't get punched in the neck, guys. Really, it's gonna hurt. Dodging ultimate attacks is much safer than blocking them in most cases. Seriously. I get caught up trying to be flash with my block sometimes, and I always pay for it. I always. So don't even, if you see the death ball or something coming towards you, man, just get the hell out the way. Don't even try to block it. And you can use the plane shift to constantly be on equal footing with your enemy when you're about to shift momentum. So if you don't know, you don't have to manually ascend and descend to keep up with your opponent. You can tap X twice on controller type A, so it will be your ascend button on whatever controller type you're playing on, and your character will shift right to the plane that your opponent is on without much of a hassle. So you'll do it super fast. It doesn't cost anything, and is a very good way to keep your momentum up when you're on offense or defense. So you always kind of want to be able to do that when you're about to shift into a different phase of play, I should say. And there are of course some weaknesses of a momentum-based playstyle. Conditioning is a definite weakness. If your enemy gets tricked into thinking you'll consistently do a certain action or try to take certain countermeasures, they begin to lose focus on what deviations you might take. So they're like, what is going on here? They're gonna always be expecting a certain type of behavior, and that lets you do some conditioning, and that leads into your very next weakness of theirs: mix-ups. Mix up a momentum-based player by switching tactics or behavior without warning, and they'll definitely fall for some of your newest tricks. So mix-ups are, we did a whole video on these. They're pretty much anything you can come up with in Xenoverse that involve changing up your playstyle. This is a modified definition of mix-ups, because in fighting games it's a little bit different. And if you're watching this video and you're excited about what you're hearing, you probably know what a mix-up is. So a personal lack of patience, of course, is another weakness of a person using the momentum-based playstyle. If the player of the playstyle can't shift between offensive and defensive momentum smoothly, they'll definitely make some mistakes by overextending, which leads them to be punished. As long as you can bait them into attacking you when you know you have a counter ready, you'll be able to beat a momentum-based player down, like, easy. Momentum can be gained or wiped out several ways during a match, and I'll list a few ways you can exhaust your opponent's momentum, well, their offensive momentum, for sure. So, it's simply dodging an attack or extension. Making your opponent whiff at any attack will slow down their assault pretty much, like, immediately. And getting behind them is a wise move if it's followed by a guard or something, but always be prepared for a backswing or charge backswing if you do that, because if they do land an attack on you, they're going to build momentum up in their favor again. So always be ready for it unless you have a reason to expect otherwise. Another way you can like wipe out their momentum is blocking their ki blast cancels. So ki blast cancels help immensely with staying mobile in most cases, but when they hit a blocking opponent, the user has to recover from the whole animation, and they can't move as freely as they would have hoped. It's like an immediate momentum loss, like they just shut down. It's really funny to watch. Landing a counterattack super. These moves are incredible at smacking your opponent away when the conditions are met, and there is no greater feeling than counterattacking an incoming hostile. Land any sort of counterattack and you'll see what I mean. Some of these are beyond satisfying. We're talking about Godbreaker, Pressure Sign, the Flash Fist Crush. It's not even a counter move, but it feels so good when your opponent smacks into it. There's tons of them in the game, guys, so super attacks that do counters are great ones. What else? Perfect blocking. Again, this is one of the greatest momentum killers. You can actually see your opponent's animation physically slow down, and it is satisfying as hell. Alright, Jim, let our next contestant step on down. You have just won the very first spot in checking out the new SSJAipom video. Now, what do you have to say for yourself, sir? Tell us all about yourself.
Well, I don't know what to say. I just kind of came here.
That's great. And we're going to take you over to our sponsors. What is up, YouTube? SSJAipom here with another Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 video. And we're going to be talking about another playstyle, which is, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good one. This playstyle is pretty prominent in other fighting games in general, and we try to look at Xenoverse like a traditional fighting game in terms of philosophies and ways you can play, because it's a pretty good thing. But we're going to talk about area denial and zoning. Now, in fighting games, zoning is usually a tactic defined by taking on a playstyle that lets you most effectively use your character's range in their offense to pretty much suppress the opponent and keep them at bay. So if you've played ranked matches in Injustice and ran into a Deathstroke who kept spamming the bullets on you, or even a Ryu in Street Fighter who just keeps on Hadokening you and then not letting you get close, you've ran into zoning before. Since Xenoverse isn't played on a 2D plane, the zoning playstyle takes on a modified definition. By all means, this isn't the official, this now must be called zoning / area denial. We're giving the playstyle a name just so we can reference it easier for analysis, and I can mention it in other videos, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, to make this playstyle a bit more familiar to you, if you saw the other playstyle analysis videos, this style is a modified fusion of the analytical and the counterattack playstyle. The goal with this style is very, very simple. Deny your opponent access to build momentum with helpful lingering super attacks. So, the playstyle's effectiveness lies in the fact that your opponent shouldn't be able to mount any full strings or combo extensions as long as you're playing it correctly. In fact, you're going to keep the momentum on your side and not let your opponent build up anything, because you're going to shift everything in your favor. Generally, when you're using the area denial playstyle, you're using a skill that floats around either you or the map for a while, and kiting your opponent toward the skill. You then either outmaneuver the enemy into being knocked into the skill, or let the skill blow up depending on what skill it is. So I can give you some perfect examples of area denial. One is, I believe the move is called Ill Rain on Super Buu. Another is Milky Cannon on Captain Ginyu. Another is Genocide Shell on Nappa, of all people. And another one is Darkness Twin Star. So each skill has a situation or setup where they'll deny your opponent a chance to gain momentum at all. So Ill Rain, for example, blows up after a while, and it will send darts toward your enemy no matter where they're on the map. It sends 3 darts, and one of them, the one in the middle, will actually go straight to them. It won't chase them, but it will go straight to them where they are at the time the thing blows up. And Milky Cannon floats forward a little bit before exploding on its own, and this skill stays around for quite a bit, and it looks kind of scary too, so your opponent might be like, what the hell is that? But it looks intimidating enough to keep your enemy back, and it'll even block weak incoming ki attacks and blow up. So that is a great way to kind of tell people to back up off you. Just follow the Milky Cannon around and you'll be safe. And Genocide Shell creates about 4 or 5 energy balls that make a sort of wall in front of you. And I'm pretty sure they do block weak ki attacks, but it's basically for like the, you just dance around that wall for a little bit and let your stamina go back up while your opponent's kind of scared of you. Darkness Twin Star creates 2 orbs that kind of orbit around you and stop your enemy from making physical contact for like 1 hit. And you can also fire the orbs as a projectile by activating the skill again, but it isn't really that necessary for this playstyle. In fact, you'll want to use those orbiting orbs as a definite counter to like incoming physical stuff for sure. There are probably a few other skills that would aid in zoning, but these skills themselves are half of the player's strength. So the other half is the form of your defense. How well you can avoid taking full combo strings, attacks in general, and time your perfect blocks. Increase your like effectiveness with this playstyle exponentially. Now I don't perfect block too much because they're not too reliable for me online. But remember that the skills do cost ki to use, and if you didn't know, a perfect block gives you 1 full bar of ki automatically when successful, and it reduces the enemy stamina by at least 1 bar. So you guessed it, you get a free usage of your area denial skill per perfect block. So typically you want to chip away at your opponent while zoning. You'll be doing quick optimized combos and casting your area denial skills to frustrate your enemy. Getting them to shift to a sloppy hyper offensive playstyle where they just kind of want to hit you is the key to have them run into your moves and your perfect blocks over and over and over. And by all means you can do this until your opponent is dead, and an amazing mix-up is rushing in yourself as if you were going to use hyper offense on them, only to switch back up into zoning right in their face if they do decide to like hang back. So the mix-up is so fast, the opponent most likely will trip up and get hit by your stuff. And like any non-meme playstyle, zoning has some glaring weaknesses. If someone is zoning and you need to get in some offense, we can try to bait them into wasting all of their ki first and foremost. If the person zoning has little to no ki, the area denial skills become obviously unusable. So this is a prime moment for you to focus and kind of get some damage in. Avoid those perfect blocks and trip them up. Go for some grabs, man. Don't let them keep on getting you with those, or you're gonna be back in the same situation. You don't want to get locked down. Another weakness of the what is it called? the area denial is the lack of patience. If the person using the zoning playstyle actually ends up wasting their ki when they don't have to, like recasting an area denial skill while it's already floating around, it'll usually delete the first one. So get them to waste that extra ki because they get scared, or like kind of keep them at bay, but don't let them get too comfy, and you'll make them kind of want to switch up their playstyle because they want to get you out of there bad, especially if you're kind of hanging back and just watching them look stupid. Another easy way to counter zoners is the counterattack playstyle. It's somewhat effective at taking out a zoner if they are the type to dash in for some melee attacks to start off their exchanges before throwing out a denial skill. Counterattack them when they try to enter in on you, and they will most likely panic vanish because they're like, whoa, what the hell? So that's a good way to stop a zoner from getting the momentum up, and if you can keep the offense on them while at the same time countering any type of like thing they're trying to do to get you off of them, it's a really, really good way to keep them at bay for sure. The next up is predictability. This is a weakness for all playstyles for sure, but being predictable... I am messing up so much. This is why you don't read scripts, guys. You gotta just be a loose wild card. This is a weakness for all playstyles for sure, but being predictable in terms of when the zoner is going to cast their skills or start retreating can be easy tells for you to go on offense and pull back up to make them waste their ki. So if you're using a skill like Ill Rain, you want to make sure to keep a mental note. Not if you're using it, if they're using it, you want to make sure to keep a mental note of where that move is and how long it takes before it explodes and comes at you. That way you kind of know when to start stepping around and to keep like mobile. You don't want to just stay still and get hit by that, or start up a combo and get hit in the back of your head and drop the combo, which is going to free the opponent. So you got to be careful with that. And this way you can keep your step manual vanish kind of on par, and you don't want to run into these moves by mistake when you're step manual vanishing, because that's really embarrassing. And some of these things hit really, really hard, especially on custom created characters with like ki investment. So that's another thing. Keep an eye out for when your opponent sets off their attacks, and you should have a much easier time in like dealing with the zoner, because when they keep on setting them off after like a knockback attack or as you dash in, you know to like kind of pull back with your dash, let them use the move, hang out for a little bit till the move like blows up and they've wasted a bar of ki. If they are the type of person to charge up though, go for that burst dash and get them out of there, man. Don't let them charge their ki manually. Don't ever let them do that, because that is just it's going to be a cycle that no one wants to watch. And remember that a zoner does not have to stamina break you for the kill. They are trying to chip away at you, with their super attacks until you're out of the fight. So if you have to fight a zoner, man, don't let them get no momentum if you have to, man. Like, don't let them shift the thing into their favor, but at the same time, don't get sloppy. You gotta be really focused if you're fighting someone who's really that dedicated to beating you down with like milky cannons over and over and over. You gotta be 100% focused, man. And the stamina break, don't fear it too much. If they do go for it, you probably let them get into it and they probably switched up on you, which is going to be bad, but in most cases they probably won't go for the stamina break unless you've actually given that to them by wasting your stamina, so you got to be on point. Next up, and probably the last weakness I can tell you guys for right now, of course you got to find some more for yourself, is the feint hyper offense. If you're fighting a zoner, feint hyper offense is an amazing way to catch them off guard. The purpose of doing this is basically to keep rushing in as if you're going to be using hyper offense, and then get them to use their skill when they think they can counter you. So you're going to rush in and they're probably going to try to cast Milky Cannon, but you pull back right as the thing casts. And then they just wasted that. And then you either like end up snap vanishing away and waiting until the Milky Cannon blows up, or you end up warping behind your opponent somehow, or sidestep manual vanishing around to your opponent's back to start up some damage. You're just trying to get the panic vanishes to go off on your opponent. Remember, you're not trying to do any full combo strings on any playstyle until that stamina is below 2 bars. Or if the combo was optimized for you to get out the combo quick and do some real nice damage without having to do too much investment or like commitment before you can do a key blast cancel. But that's probably gonna be it from me on this topic. What's poppin', people? SSJAipom here with another Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 tip video, and today we're gonna be talking about how to change your playstyle and advance your playstyle in the middle of a game. Now, this is probably not gonna be necessary for anyone who's been kind of adept at the game, or like you're pretty much intermediate in terms of skill, but this is going to help you out if you are having trouble with switching up on the fly and catching your opponent off guard. So let's go. Let's get into it. I'm going to be reading a script now, so if I sound a little bit robotic, I'm sorry. This is a little warning, but we did speak about 3 of my favorite playstyles that I find the most success with in PvP matches, and realistically you can kind of stick to any one playstyle that you use against everyone you come across, especially if it does get you like the highest win success rate. So if you are winning a lot with the playstyle, by all means that might be the playstyle for you. You know, you might not have to switch over, but there are some situations that pop up where you'll kind of be playing against someone and they don't exactly go down to what you're doing no matter how you're doing with your playstyle. Like the hyper offensive is just not beating them, or the analytical is just not beating them. So this video is going to be all about getting you to that victory by using what you know in terms of fundamentals and then formulating a brand new playstyle for any situation you're in, or shifting over completely and catching your opponent off guard. So for starters, you're gonna need to know the fundamental features of the game, and not fundamental as in regular button presses like square as a light attack, triangle as a heavy link. No, you need to know specifically how you do your step manual vanishes. You need to master that. Get that down, guys, before you even go into PvP. Get your step manual vanishes down. Like, just practice it, please. And you have to know your basic combo extensions for your character. So how you get your most damage off after you've like punished your opponent, so you get a stamina break. Know what combos go into what supers for you. You're gonna have a much better time using any playstyle realistically. And lastly, you gotta master key blast cancels. Like, I see a lot of people that don't use key blast cancels, and you can make the game a lot smoother for yourself if you do pick up key blast cancels. They're not too advanced, and I have several videos on how to do them scattered around the channel. So if you need to, just type in SSJAipom key blast cancel and boom, you'll find it. But anyway, you need these 3 main tools to basically pick up any character and easily start to form how you'll play with them. So using myself as an example, I have not extensively practiced with any character on the roster. I don't know if you noticed, but the character reference overviews, I literally picked up a character for about 30 minutes to an hour and just did their combos and found basic extensions. Like, okay, we'll throw this video up with my basic thoughts of them, because the character is, by all means, you'll learn what you need to know in terms of basics for in 30 minutes or so of doing the combos, but you won't get really good with them until you put that time in the lab with them. But I haven't practiced with anyone, so my general knowledge of the game and cancels, though, let me make up 3 baselines of how I'm going to play with any character at any given moment. So if you watched yesterday's videos, you know exactly what we're talking about. We have hyper offense, analytical, and counterattack playstyles, and those are like my bases, and I can pretty much pick up any character and somewhat be competent with them as long as I pick up one of those playstyles and stick to it. So we'll compare Vegeta and Goku when I use them. So my Vegeta, you probably seen him in the hyper offensive video. He tends to start off with a more hyper offensive style. Vegeta is one of those characters that benefits from being underused online, since most people are under the impression that he can't land most of his combos. So this means that you can get a bunch of panic vanish and people see a bunch of combos that Vegeta does, like, what the hell, that did a lot of damage. Like, yeah, Vegeta is definitely one of those characters, and he gets so much faster with key blast cancels, but his regular dash speed is really freaking quick too. So Vegeta is a good character for hyper offense, like to start off the bat. My Goku, on the other hand, I tend to have a more analytical approach. Unless I'm using Goku Black, he's like the hyper offense. But if I'm using Goku, man, I pretty much never commit to any combos on any playstyle anyway. So, but when I'm using Goku especially, I kind of retreat early when I'm trying to get a feel for my opponent. Because I'm not really trying to win just yet. I'm just looking at what they're going to do, and I'm getting notes of what they do, you know? So we'll take this a step further. Stay with me here. So with this Goku playstyle, I can get a good feel of how my opponent is kind of playing, how they move around the map, how well they manage their stamina, and I can slowly make adjustments so that I'm always in advantage to punish them. When I get their behavior down, especially in a room where I have enough time to do so, like it's not rushed 3 minutes, then I know exactly what I need to do to kind of stay on the winning side, you know? And with my Vegeta playstyle, however, I'm playing much more risky. I'm attacking, and I have a chance to lose the match by just getting stamina broken. So there's a lot to be said when you have a playstyle where you're pretty much wasting your resources, snap vanishing out early, and just trying to get that damage in to chip away at your opponent and make them panic vanish. And when you're hitting your opponent but backing up to see how well they handle the pressure. So remember, right now we have Goku playing extremely cautious in one game and Vegeta being extremely risky in another. So this is where the playstyle change can come in. Let's say Goku in one match, all of a sudden I got all the information I need from my opponent. I know how they play. I got them conditioned to think I attack a certain way. I got them thinking that I'm always gonna kind of drop a combo. And then on a dime, I shift from analytical to hyper offensive. So the pace that we already set for the opponent is pretty much thrown out the window. It's turned on its head. And now they have to kind of scramble to get their defenses going because they thought I was going to be a kind of campy sitting back sort of Goku. But no, this time I moved in now, and I'm trying to get you to waste that stamina now. Now I'm going for the kill because I know how you're going to do. I know when to back attack. I know everything that I need to know to get that big surprise, because surprise is like your biggest like win factor in Xenoverse. And now that they have to scramble to get the defenses, you know, they're gonna start panicking. So now you got the panic vanishes going. If you know about the hyper offensive playstyle, you know exactly what that leads to. You're gonna get the win pretty soon. Now, alternatively, let's think about the Vegeta match, where if Vegeta suddenly took like a counter-attack playstyle when he fell below 2 bars of stamina, and I had all my dodges on point, like I knew how to key blast, cancel, and step away from the opponent, it's gonna be a lot harder to punish me than when I was in the hyper offensive style, when I was letting you hit me and I would like snap vanish out of a single punch. Now I'm sitting here and I'll dodge your attacks and get hit a couple of times and let my stamina go back up to about 4 bars before I actually snap vanish away. So now you see this Vegeta is a lot harder to kill than the Vegeta who keeps throwing himself at the opponent. But it's still the same character, it's still the same combo strings, it's still me playing. I just changed the way I play the character on a dime, like at the drop of a hat. Or, yeah. So how effective you are at shifting your playstyle all depends on how well you can adapt to different styles of playing. So these are some of the best tactical mix-ups because they'll make your opponent a lot more uncomfortable. They won't be as settled in with your playstyle if you caught them off guard. And add to the fact that you can fuse or modify any playstyles that you come up with or you've seen online, and you'll find a lot of neat ways to get really reliable. Like I know people who will like change up how they play every half a health bar, which is absurd because your opponent is pretty much going to be like, how do I even do this? But remember, the 3 playstyles that I mentioned in yesterday's videos are playstyles that I've either adopted as my own or became the most familiar with. There are all sorts of playstyles and ways to play and ways to change up how you fight and little modifications you can make to any one of the playstyles that you come across or you've seen, or even the 3 that I gave you as examples to make your own like playstyles. And you know, there are situations when you want to think about shifting your playstyle, and I'll give you a couple of instances where they might help you out in PvP if you're having trouble. So maybe you could switch up how you fight after being perfect blocked. Maybe you could do it after being stamina broken. If you do manage to survive, you gotta like play a little bit more cautious if you did get hit while you were being super, you know, aggressive or whatever. After you get enough ki to use your ultimate attack, you might want to change up your playstyle. Maybe to go to a hyper offensive playstyle just to burn off that last little bit of stamina that your opponent has to get the stamina break off into the ultimate attack, which is really dope. When you lose a health bar or take like significant damage, like if you take too much damage for yourself and you gotta slow it down, man, slow it down. Don't be so hyper like offensive. Like slow it down for a little bit, make sure you catch your bearings and chip away your opponent until you get back into wanting to do hyper offense, or just switch over to defensive the whole rest of the fight. Like this is what playstyle switching is all about, man. You get to do this stuff and you got the mental thing going on there. You can also do it when you have low stamina or less stamina than you would like. That's what I use with analytical. If I see that I have like, if I'm going hyper offense and I suddenly have a 1 bar of stamina left and I kind of don't want to lose the fight so early because I know I can get the advantage, I'll just play analytical real quick, like my opponent get their stamina back up, but I'm getting mine back up too, and they're kind of jumpy and jumping around while I'm on the floor just getting it back up. So there's always a way you can shift over to that. And maybe you can switch over your playstyle when your opponent suddenly switches over theirs. This is the most important. Knowing how to switch over and counter any playstyle is key to becoming a pretty unkillable person in Xenoverse. And being comfortable with any playstyle is going to help you out in the long run. And of course, it's like a philosophy you can take out with pretty much any fighting game in the future. You don't want to get stuck playing like you're trying to play Ryu when you play a character like, I don't know, Dalsim or I haven't played Street Fighter much in the last few days. You want to play Ryu like you would play like a Zangief, you know, but you can take this with you in any fighting games in the future, really. So if someone is playing with any of these play styles and you've become familiar with them, try to think of or formulate a counter, and in no time you'll see your success rate change. And in the next video, we're going to talk about something else, developing a character-specific playstyle and then choosing the perfect main for yourself, or a character that you would use more so than any other character from the cast, or hey, even if you want to custom create a character. That's going to be it from me today, guys. If you sat through that whole video, give the dog a like one time for the one time. You are now going to be a Xenoverse 2 master. Pretty soon, we getting up there, Swag, thank you, ma'am. I'll be seeing you guys in the very next video. Take care of yourselves.